Welcome, one and all, to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 200. I am the Angry Raccoon.
I am Ace.
I'm the Indigenous Owl.
I'm Ferret.
Bringing you the first podcast of September 2022. And as you can hear, I'm joined by a very interesting cast of people throughout the whole of the Ferret and Raccoon podcast history. I know it's only been about, 7 years or so since we started this podcast to some extent.
It's not that long. Just a tiny bit.
It's been a while, but there's a moment for celebration. As you can hear, we've got Ace.
Oh yeah, I'm back.
Owl, who's relative newcomer for the most part, but back again, but always welcome. And of course, the co-founder of the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, back after several years on hiatus.
Yes.
Ferret.
That was
And I think,
hiatus.
if anything, this is the one person who I think most people might not know because it has been a while, and we've obviously got new audiences. But yes, this is Ferret, the guy whose name is in the title. So it's a moment. What's the word? This is a
Historic moment.
historic moment.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess you could say that. To some extent, 4 generations of people on the podcast are here. To some extent, but yeah, yes, it's podcast 200. We are celebrating 200 official episodes, and for this one, we're kind of going to downplay the actual trailers we usually talk about, and we're mainly going to make it more of a special about us because we're that egotistical. But yeah, I guess the main thing we'll do is we'll just discuss kind of the things that we did over the last 2 weeks for the most part. For me, the main things I've been doing is kind of just playing games. I think I mentioned on the last podcast I've been playing Cult of the Lamb, which did recently get its update, which kind of fixed some things and maybe has also added a few more issues in terms of glitches. Yeah, I did spot one where on 2 occasions, in one particular spot, an enemy did not die, forcing me to restart. So here's the thing. I'm not going to say that game is broken or buggy beyond belief and don't buy it. All I'm going to say is that's not great, but I would still say buy the game. It's pretty fun. Other than that, I've just been archiving stuff because HBO Max is just being dumb.
It's destroying everything.
Everything
going.
Everything they own, pretty much, which is not very smart for the most part. I've talked about it for 2 podcasts in a row at this point.
And I was on one of them, so...
You were on one of the discussions, and literally on the last podcast, 199, I talked about everything that's been cancelled and moved. Not even Batman is safe at this point, where, just a quick recap, even the 2 Batman animated series have no home right now. They're not going to be on HBO Max and nowhere at Warner Brothers. So if not even Batman is safe, no one is. But, they can wallow on their own pity, I guess. Ace, I know it's been 2 podcasts since you were on the last one.
Oh, yeah.
How's things been?
Well, work has been crazy as always.
You've detailed some stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Lots of priority issues, so, been a bit tough, but I always find a way to relax.
Which is good.
I beat Hollow Knight again recently.
Oh, you beat me to it.
And that includes all the DLC, including the ridiculous fucking, Home.
You did it?
Yes.
That
took forever.
You need to come around and do it for me, because I can't be bothered to do that.
No, I've done. I uninstalled that game. I'm finished with it. Trust me, that was one of the most ridiculous things ever. Because you can die so quickly against those bosses. Because it's a boss rush against everything and a new boss. Yeah, it's torture. If you want to have a look, go online, type it in, and you will see the pain I went through. It was not fun.
I specifically said that's why I'm not doing it. I'm doing everything but that, because that's one thing I don't like in games is boss rushes. Al, what have you been up to over the last 2 weeks or so?
Again, just working. But the last thing I went to go see in cinema was, Nope with you.
Yes,
which was interesting. I'm not going to say too
We're
much
not
about the
say
film.
anything, no.
Just foreshadow it for the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
But another film I went to go see as well was Dragon Ball Z Superhero,
Mm-hmm.
which was... I actually really enjoyed it, but the only thing is, unfortunately, I came halfway through it because the strikes were happening with transport, so... Took us like an hour and a half to get to the O2, and it's not even that far, and it's just on a bus as well, it was traffic, but it was good, and we went to go see it in 4DX, which was an experience.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, so literally, it felt like I was in a roller coaster, the chairs would rotate, and literally, I felt like I was going to fall out my chair, and every time a fight happened, where the punches were happening, you felt like you're getting punched up in your chair and everything. Yeah, I kind of almost didn't survive that, so yeah,
No, you've actually sold this to me. I want that experience.
No, go for it, mate. Go for it. And I was saying to Raccoon, like, oh, if it was a JoJo film, oh. 40x. Oh, God.
That would be the last film you ever see.
Yeah.
Basically, because you'd literally be wheeled out in an ambulance.
You know what? That's the experience I want.
Yeah, that's the experience cinemas are missing now.
You just see me get rolled out, thumbs up, sunglasses.
5-star.
Yeah, exactly.
5-star. And Ferret, what have you been up to over the last however long or whatever you've been just doing for the most part?
It's work, monotonous grind, really.
Yes.
I fill those, few hours that I get to myself with video games. Video game I'm playing at the moment, Narakua, Bloodpoint.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's a really cool game. Little hack and slash.
I'm not aware of that one.
It's a battle royale game, and but it's basically with melee, so it's with swords, spells, and all that good stuff, rather than guns. Because I'm not too big into.
What, you don't like
shoot 'em
Fortnite?
ups. No, not anymore.
The best game ever.
No, it was for me. Yeah, back when it first came out, because I like popular games.
One of the OGs.
Yeah, I was one of the first people
Back before
online.
there was seasons.
Back before, genuinely, I jest, but it's actually true.
That's the thing. A lot of people don't
I
know
was actually an
about
OG.
Ferret is he kind of is like a bit of a trendsetter for the most part. Like one of the first people ever to notify me about Attack on Titan. One of the first people to be reading it. So and other cases as well, which I'm not gonna like detail and all that. But yeah, it's good stuff. So that's what you've been doing. You've been keeping busy. I think we've all been trying to relax from work. I've been off for a couple of weeks, so I've had enough time to play enough games. But yeah, we're here for podcast 200, but we got some trailers to get through. We only got 3 because there really hasn't been much for the most part. And even then, these trailers are very similar to some extent. They're all horror themed, big surprise. But I guess that's kind of like a staple of the podcast now that we're always talking about horror films to some extent. But the first trailer we have is an interesting one, and that is going to be... I completely forgot its name.
Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Yes, this one, weirdly enough, it's Netflix, which, boo. But, they've been teasing this one for a while. They had a pretty cryptic teaser trailer a little while ago, kind of showing off some of the monsters. But this is more Guillermo himself sitting down, kind of discussing this passion project, which is nice that he has 2 of these projects. He's been trying to work on that and his version of Pinocchio, finally come to fruition. And it's nice to kind of see him just generally talk about working with other people and monster creation, that, the things he's really passionate about. But the trailer just kind of details who's going to be in it and all that kind of stuff. But what were our general thoughts on this trailer for the most part? Because for me, I'm personally really hyped because it is Guillermo del Toro. He's done a few of my favorite films of recent years.
I was incredibly excited. I love horror. I love anthology stuff. Yeah. And as soon as I saw the name Panos Cosmatos, I was like, fuck yes, I need this.
So who is Panos exactly?
So he's a director. He did the film Beyond the Black Rainbow and Mandy, and they are amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Beyond the Black Rainbow is probably one of the best sci-fi films in the last, 20 years? And everyone should watch it.
It's a very tricky film to kind of try and track down in distribution wise. I've not really found a Blu-ray because it's definitely on my list. I saw Mandy the day it came out. I saw it at the Prince Charles, probably one of the best screenings I think I've ever seen of a film because everyone was going nuts during that screening. Everyone was laughing. Everyone was just having a good time. I knew it was going to be a good screening where one of the guys is telling the other guy working at the Prince Charles that he knows the guy that composed the soundtrack.
Damn.
So it was going to be one of those screenings. But yeah, everyone was having fun watching that. And I think that's a very fun film just to watch with people anyway. Especially if you don't know anything about it. And also Nicolas Cage.
It's literally got the best scene Nicolas Cage has ever done in his life. It is beautiful.
Talk about the bathroom scene.
Oh, hell yes.
Talk about the bathroom scene, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It's beautiful.
Al, I know you're a massive horror fan.
No, I'm not. But but I can appreciate the director talk about his work and things that he's passionate about. But yeah, other than that, I just don't care.
Fair enough.
Moving on.
Ferret?
I really enjoyed the monster design. I thought that was really cool. I like all of that weird looking things.
Yeah, to some
It
extent.
was interesting,
Yeah.
And I think I'm definitely going to watch it. I was a little bit disappointed with the logo, the Netflix attachment. Slightly worrying.
To be fair, it's the worst part of almost any Netflix property right now.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
that cursed logo.
Yeah, it really.
I mean,
burns
you know, people really don't like the N-word. But you know,
I sort of froze for a second. You know, I sort of froze. I thought, hang on.
I'm talking about
Dangerous
Netflix in case
territory.
people are gonna get upset and all that. Because I know what people are like nowadays.
I still don't think did Ferret get it or not? No. Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
he's a professional.
All right.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Yikes.
But yeah, no, it looks fun.
Now I'm questioning myself. Hang on. This is some psychological stuff. Like he's working with Guillermo del Toro, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually one of the secret directors.
We're part of the advertisement right now.
So the plot is a guy is invited to do a podcast. You see.
To be honest, for anyone who's not looking at him right now, you do look very official. It must be said.
Oh yeah, because
I think it's the lab coat.
I think
lab,
it's the
yeah, it's the lab coat and my purple hair.
Oh yes.
My trademark purple hair. If anyone's ever seen me, you just look for the guy at Comic-Con with the purple hair. That's me. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It's Guillermo del Toro. He is a master when it comes to like that creative kind of stuff. I still think Pan from Pan's Labyrinth is one of the best things he's kind of like devised and created for the most part.
Couldn't agree more.
And yeah, I'm just very interested to see like different directors like spins on certain things and kind of having that budget to do things. Because me and you, we love Ace. I'm talking about. We love anthologies. We watch a lot of them, and there's some really great and underrated ones. I think everyone can kind of get into. Not so much in recent years because I think there's kind of been a bit of a lull. Although Creepshow was good.
Oh yes, Creepshow was good.
Creepshow, the new
Channel
Creepshow.
Zero.
Channel Zero was good. Yes.
There was one I can't remember. It was like a few episodes were good every once in a while, and then most of it was just shit. I talked like The Dark or In the Dark or something. I talked about it at one point like years ago on here.
I'm not sure just by that name. The last one I watched that was really good was Southbound.
Southbound. Oh, I don't think. Wait. Oh, was that 2015 film?
Kind of, yeah.
Yes.
It's that's a really cool one. I think that's a really good one to get into anthologies because it's very much just a movie that just happens to follow different characters throughout, and of course Trick or Treat.
Oh yes.
The best anthology film of all time. I think we can all agree. But yeah, no, that's our thoughts on this. So let's move on to the next trailer, which is going to be Goodnight Mummy, which is a remake of a 2015 or 14 German horror thriller film. And yeah, they've wasted no time trying to remake this film. It's not even been 10 years, and we've already got a remake. But I mean, Naomi Watts, great actress, one of the best.
She's always good in everything she's in.
She will probably be the best part about this film because the trailer already spoilt the film. But I'm not going to say where or how. But, you know, I think the best part about this trailer for me personally was the music.
I feel like I can't remember any music.
Nothing jumps out to me if I'm honest.
I thought the music was memorable to some extent. It was interesting, or kind of like par the course for like a horror survival kind of thing. It's not very prominent because you're more distracted with a lady with a mask on her face.
I think I was distracted by the really terribly acting kids.
Yeah, that's the problem sometimes when you have like these horror films or any film, unfortunately, is a child actor that's not great or not convincing can break the film. Personally, I wasn't really, I was just listening to the music. I wasn't really looking at children, to be honest. And I was just more annoyed that this is even a remake. Because
I just saw one of them like reaching for a mask and then that look on his face where it's just like completely blank. It's trying to look slightly scared or anxious, and it was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
It might be the situation with like The Shining where they didn't really tell the kid that he was in a horror film. Maybe that's what it is.
I mean, I don't know. He saw Naomi Watts, he saw the mask, he knew it was a horror film.
Jeez. Well, then again, is this kid never seen a David Lynch film?
I don't think anyone's seen David Lynch films at the moment. There hasn't been one in what, like 2012, 20... When was Mulholland Drive?
Oh, that wasn't even the 2010s. Yeah. I don't think.
See? It's been forever.
Fair enough. But, like I said before, Al, I know you're a massive fan of horror. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, she was well prepared for COVID, wasn't she?
Ahead of her time. Yeah. Some say skeptical, but I say big brain.
Yeah.
I say big brain for the most part.
So, well done to her. That's all I have to say there.
Ferret?
Not really interested. So, I don't know. It didn't really appeal to me. I wasn't on the edge of my seat, biting my nails. I wasn't intrigued by anything. I just thought, okay. It looks alright. The visuals are quite nice. Colour design is. I'm trying to get all technical and sound a bit.
You don't need to. If you don't have anything to say about it, don't say anything. It's fine.
Okay. So.
At least it looks like there'll be a fun dance scene.
The dance scene. That was quite interesting. Cutting shapes on the dance floor in the dark.
In front of a mirror.
In front of a mirror with a mask on. Can't say we've all been there.
Yeah, normal everyday activity.
That's how I start my day. But yeah, fair enough. But yeah, no, I think it's a pass for me, despite me, I guess, being the only one who's really positive about it technically. But no, I'm not going to bother. I'd rather watch the original because America has a really good tendency to ruin foreign horror films. Mm-hmm. Very much like Let the Right One In.
Yes.
Which is fantastic.
Let Me In, the remake.
Let the Right One In is a fantastic, let's just say, horror thriller film because I don't want to spoil it. Yeah. Everyone needs to go watch that film. Really good stuff. I actually had to, just a quick random note, for one of my media exams, we actually had to analyze both trailers for both the remake and the original.
Nice.
Which is interesting. And the projector messed up, so we all failed that exam because we didn't see the correct colours. Yeah.
Were you talking about the colour grading on it?
No, the projector didn't display the correct colours. So when a lot of people talked about the differences with the film, they talked about things that didn't make sense that were accurate to the trailer itself. It was funny because I think they also showed us the Banksy-inspired Simpsons opening.
Oh, nice.
Now, funny enough, I had seen that because I'm a massive Simpsons fan, so I didn't fail that section because I knew what the colour should have looked like.
Oh, hang on.
Nice.
Hang on.
Because obviously everyone knows the Simpsons are yellow, but I think because that segment is in black and white, because it obviously makes commentary about like slave wages and how China treats its stuff and media and distribution and all that, the colours weren't correct. So people mentioned the fact that they were like, oh, the characters being, I think, black or green or something like that because the color was incorrect. They obviously failed that because the people marking it went, well, they're not green, they're obviously grey, so you get a fail.
Hang on, sorry.
Yeah.
So wait, is it literally like taking a test? So you're in a room
for
about 50 minutes and then you have to look at something.
No, it was 2 hours.
2 hours.
My media exams are 2 hours.
And then you had to literally write about that?
Yes, they give you 2 examples to write about and then you have to write about something yourself. Like something you want to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I know I would have passed the Right One In, Let Me In one because I've seen both those trailers on my own beforehand, and I instantly would have been like the color grading issue.
Well, the thing is, if you brought that up,
Yeah.
you probably would have failed because that's irrelevant. Because they're looking for you to mention specific things.
Oh no, I know why I would.
Yeah, but if you brought that up, they'd be like, he's talking rubbish, you know.
Well, they'll just write that.
Bit silly, but media, at least back in my day, was very tricky to actually pass because if you don't say what they want to hear, then it doesn't quite work. But we've got one last trailer to talk about, still sticking with the theme. Obviously, we've got the big N to talk about again, and that is going to be Wednesday Addams, although I think Netflix is also just referring to it as just Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it
bizarrely.
is.
So Wednesday Addams, one of the most popular characters from the very famous Addams Family series. This is essentially a soft reboot kind of thing, although it's leaning more towards a certain demographic and agenda, which I guess we'll talk about. The actress, I can't remember her name, but I think she does a good job. I think she looks like Wednesday Addams for the most part. I think the look, I think maybe not so much the personality. You know, we only see a trailer, so I don't know, because I'd imagine the director whoever's probably just like, no, you're supposed to be like weird and goth and trouble. You need to sound like that, which is not quite. Wednesday Addams is supposed to be a zombie. People kind of forget that.
She's just kind of super deadpan, no emotion.
Yeah, she's kind of there.
I found this one to have a bit too much, and she smiled at least 2 or 3 times in the trailer.
I think she should only really smile once, and that's if someone is dying or being tortured.
Yeah.
If anything.
Like she did in one of the films.
Yeah.
Like she smiled once, and it was like really hard for her to smile. I feel like it kind of ruined the character already before the show started.
Although it may sound weird, they should have taken more inspiration from Mandy from Billy Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, because Mandy only smiles like twice in the whole series, and that show lasted almost 11 years. and she only smiled because like they said just try it, and she was like, no, this is stupid, which
Exactly.
is a great scene. But yeah, it's a bit tricky to discuss this one because there's good things. Obviously, Tim Burton, he kind of is kind of like his bread and butter for the most part, and kind of seeing him do an Addams Family makes sense given he's done so much stuff with that classic like Universal
modern
monster
Gothic stuff.
Yeah, for the most part, it's kind of like his thing. But then you kind of get things towards the end of the trailer where they're like in the school setting, and then you get like the Harry Potter vibes, and then there's a shot that looks like it's straight out of Carrie, and I'm like, we don't really need to be doing that. Like she's an interesting enough character. Whether she can support a show,
No, she works best as a supporting character. Like that's kind of the whole appeal of the Addams Family, is that each of the characters add to each other, and with one major focus on one, it kind of takes away. Yeah, you don't get the good contrast.
Yeah, and we don't even see her brother.
Yeah, exactly. She mentions him once. Yeah. Like, don't pick on my brother.
And she's wearing an outfit similar to his. Yeah. Which is a bit bizarre. But yeah, for anyone who confused, me and Ace are massive Addams Family like aficionados. We watched all the films. We know everything about it.
Yeah, we've got all the comic books stacked like behind us right now as we record this.
Yes. See, I read issue 35 just to double check my suspicions before we recorded this one.
And I remember that piranha scene.
Yeah, that's a classic issue.
Oh yeah.
1965, you know.
Yes. Congrats.
But yeah, Al and Ferret, I know you've been quite quiet about this one. We've kind of just nerded out for the most part. But given your faces, I can see you have a ton to say about this trailer.
Yeah. Moving on.
I love it.
Ferret?
I mean, I don't know nothing about the
Addams Family.
Wednesday.
The Munsters.
Yeah. Oh, you're more of a Monsters fan.
No, I know nothing about the Halls family, where are they?
What family?
Oh my god, I'm such an idiot.
Addams Family.
Addams Family.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Halls. Addams Family.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything. Seeing this, I thought it was quite interesting. I quite like it. I like the visuals. The character's quite interesting. It looks alright. Not looks alright. It looks alright, the whole thing together.
Yeah.
Not sure about piranhas. I thought that was a bit strange. I thought the piranhas would have just bitten out of the bag rather than dropping in the water.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit unusual. I thought, hang on.
That is a bit of a nitpick, and also piranhas don't just viciously kill people.
Yeah.
They have to be provoked or be extremely hungry.
Yeah.
If anything, they would bite a person as opposed to consume them, as the trailer implies.
Exactly.
Like, I think maybe the chlorine in the pool provoked them. Because I'm pretty sure they're salt. Are they salt?
Yeah, I think they are, because they're from Brazil or something like that. Right?
I
think you can find them in the Amazon River or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It would have provoked them. Like, not to say they won't eat meat or anything, but it takes them a long time to do that. But like I said, you could jump into a pool of piranhas, they'd probably swim away from you. Because they're probably like, what the hell? What are you doing in my pool? That was the only thing, but that's like kind of like farcical. I think that's probably someone going, well, the Addams Family like to torture people, right? So she would do something like that,
right? Do something and get expelled, only expelled. But
not arrested for murder.
Not arrested, yeah.
Depends, we didn't quite see the guy get like consumed completely.
There was a lot of blood.
I know, but like,
that's his GBH.
He might be just half the torso.
Definitely. Grievous bodily harm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the things that bother me was like I like that scene, and I kind of would have rather had like a scene like that in an Addams Family show.
Oh yeah.
If that makes sense.
Piranhas on like plastic strings or something.
It was something she would do to some extent.
Would she do that? Because I don't know the character.
I think she would do something like that, but maybe not to the degree of, let's say, I guess how she does it in the trailer. Like she wouldn't. I mean, she's kind of low effort to some extent, but she has made like farcical traps and that. Yeah. I don't know.
So like she'd set up a guillotine so someone walks through the front door or something.
Yeah. Okay.
And she'd probably be disappointed if someone didn't lose their head. You know what I mean? Like, like my day's ruined because you're not dead. That kind of thing.
Character's pretty interesting then.
No,
I like it.
She is. I mean, the one thing I am wondering is how she's going to compare to like other goth characters. Because I know that this is like Netflix is like, we got to fill our like, shows for girls who think they're goth but really they're just emo. You know,
Like
we need that
that
demographic.
Sabrina show.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I was
Sabrina,
gonna say.
yeah.
Sabrina.
Sabrina, or I've read one book of. No, I've seen a book of Emily the Strange. You know, I've never read one, but I've seen one of those. Or more recently, like Mavis from Hotel Transylvania.
Oh yeah,
Who's like the new.
the new hotness.
The new hotness. Yeah, in terms of like goth, I guess you could say. That's one thing I've been wondering if people will even attach that, because I know given certain things, people are so quick to relate themselves to dark and tortured characters.
And schools, for some reason. People
Schools,
can't get
yeah.
away from
Yeah.
wanting to still be in school.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember school back when I finished it last year.
Yeah.
Get nostalgic for something that I'm pretty sure most people hated.
I had to shave my beard off before that last day.
I did like school dinners, though, honestly.
No, I know you.
It
did.
was banging.
I kind of agree though.
With the chocolate custard
Oh.
and the
Yeah,
sponge
oh.
cakes.
Before
Turkish
Jamie Oliver
Twizzlers.
fucked it all up.
Yeah, thanks,
The knob.
Jamie. Yeah, thanks. People used to say I sound a bit like Jamie. I don't know why. When I was online, you know, you're playing games. An American do it. You sound like Jamie Oliver. Yeah, and it would even say you got a lisp like it. And I'm all like, hang on, do I have a lisp? Oh no. Oh.
That's news to me. I never would have thought that, and I've never really.
You did?
Yeah. No.
Do I sound like
You don't
No,
know that you
no.
say it.
I personally don't think you do.
Yeah,
I
because
personally
I
don't.
don't know. But I did watch a video and I thought there is a little. I get what they mean.
The only
I don't
thing,
think I
the only
do
thing people have said about my voice is that when I was online or whatever, is they say I sound more British the angrier I get.
that. Oh, that's
I don't know if that's true, because obviously I don't necessarily know how I would sound at that point. But
Why don't we test it? Let's test it.
let's talk about something that really pisses me off.
Netflix.
Oh, fucking heard it. But yeah, no, I'm interested to give it a watch, because I feel like compared to a lot of the trash that's come out in terms of just recent media for the most part, I have a feeling this one could be all right.
Yeah, like it's something I'll give a little watch.
I'm interested to see. I mean, I'm more interested in the family, to be honest, and see how they're going to manage, because that's always been the most interesting part of the Addams family, is the family themselves and them adapting to what crazy or normal ideals or whatever. I know one of the last ones had them. They were in like wasn't like they were on vacation or something like that.
Oh yeah, I remember the photo, like the picture of them for the front cover where they're like in a tennis court or something.
Something like that, yeah. Which is fine, and I think a lot of those films are good. I like the I think it's the first one where it has I was about to say Andrew Lloyd Webber there.
Oh, Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher
Lloyd. Yeah. As Uncle Fester.
Uncle Fester, yeah, I really like that one. Those films are quite underrated, to be honest. I didn't watch the animated films because here's the thing, although we joked about like us being massive fans of the Addams Family, I don't actually like their original look in the comic.
No, I don't either.
I've never liked how they've looked originally.
Was that an actual joke? So
it was, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So you're not.
We know a
So
lot.
you're not an actual big fan.
No.
We do know a lot
Okay.
about them,
Yeah,
but I
we
wouldn't
like the
say like
films.
hardcore
Okay, I
fans.
genuinely thought you watched it. I didn't think you had comic books because I could see from behind you.
Like
Wait, you're ruining the atmosphere.
shush, we're gonna have to cut this now.
They're gonna start questioning Raccoon's lab coat now.
Exactly. You mean he doesn't have purple hair? No, I've never really liked their design, and that's where Addams Family started, was from the original comic book strips, and then it became like a TV show on that. It's funny as well because also Netflix is going to be streaming Rob Zombie's The Monsters.
Oh god, oh no.
Which most people probably get confused. They probably think it's the same thing as Monster Family, basically. That film did not look good. That trailer was so bad I didn't talk about it on the podcast. That's how bad. Like I haven't actually finished that trailer.
I thought it was a joke at first. Genuinely, it was so bad.
Look up
so
the trailer for
amateur.
The Monsters by Rob Zombie. It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
It was made on like a penny budget.
It feels like that.
Gosh.
But Wednesday Addams should be interesting. This could either be a great show or a massive disaster that makes people argue on Twitter.
Now the thing is it going to come out on Wednesday?
That would be a very good idea.
That would be an extremely missed opportunity if they do not.
Come on.
Like-
They got to do it now. You know what I mean?
I think they have to. Yeah, every Wednesday.
No.
Wednesday. Every
Each Wednesday,
Wednesday,
new
yeah.
episode. Yeah, it's $1 billion
Watch,
idea.
watch them fuck it up and put it on Sunday.
Oh no.
On a Sunday.
Oh, the scariest day.
We all know they love the sun.
Oh god. But yeah, so that's the 3 trailers we have to talk about. But now we're going to move on to the main highlight of episode 200. That is going to be the QA special. We've only really done like maybe 2 of these throughout the whole of the podcast, mainly because COVID kind of came around and spoiled things for the most part. And, you know, not everyone is always free. But essentially, we're going to ask each other a couple of questions going around and just having a nice chat and just kind of detailing more things about us to some extent. And I guess for some people who are newer to the podcast, they may not be so familiar with Ace or Ferret, so they get to know them a little bit more as well, which is good. You have that point of reference. So I guess I'll start with my question, which I have 3. And my first question is going to be, this is the more pessimistic one. I'll get this one out of the way, because it could go to some strange or whatever places. But my first question is going to be, if you could remove one thing from this world, whether it be like real, synthetical, a person, country, how big or small, whatever, what would that be and why? So it's a tricky one. It's quite a bold one. That's why I want to start with this one.
Who's answering first, or
I am.
Okay.
I'll answer. So I thought about this a lot because there's so much you could do with this question and so much you can, like, I guess, elaborate on to some extent. And there's lots of things, because I'm thinking more in the sense of what being removed could really benefit the world the best to some extent. And there's a couple of things I came up with, but the one thing I thought would probably be the best for what is right now, and I've said this many times before, so it might not be a surprise, but the one thing I would remove from this world to never be returned is honestly Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Slash
That's a good
social
one.
media. Slash social media. I think Twitter has caused so many issues, almost too many issues, to the point where I don't think we can count. It's gotten to the point where scientists and like therapists or whoever, experts or whatever, have to come up with new symptoms and issues regarding mental illness just because of things people do as a result of Twitter. Like, it's getting a bit ridiculous now that there are so many issues or blockades that people face now based on the fact that they can't stay off or stay away from that damn bird for the most part. And, you know, just the other day, literally, I think a year ago or so, they actually came up with the term, which is now actually a medical thing, called doom scrolling.
Oh, yes, I know doom
What's
scrolling.
that?
So doom scrolling is essentially actively scrolling through Twitter looking for bad and negative things.
Yeah.
Oh,
That is
right,
something
right.
that people actively do. It is obviously not healthy to do, but it's
No.
something that people unfortunately do for the most part. And obviously, given recent events, I don't necessarily blame people for doing that, because people are worried, people are a bit frightened, and people understandably want to keep in the know. They want that perspective. But I think removing Twitter would honestly let people kind of relax and kind of get back to reality, because I think too many people exist on social media. You don't get a real sense of people nowadays. Now, I know to some extent that does sound like old man doesn't get it to some extent.
Old man shouts at cloud.
Yeah, old man shouts at cloud. Yes, to some extent. But yeah, and also you can. I don't think too many people are going to disagree with me. I really don't think anyone is going to fight me over, we got to keep Twitter alive.
You know that at least one person in the world whose life is dedicated to Twitter. And you've hurt them really bad right now.
I would disagree. I think there's too many people whose lives are Twitter, because it links back to the phone as well.
Oh, yeah, that's
To some
true.
extent. There are people who literally go to the cinema, sit down and take photos of said film to post on Twitter to tell people that they're watching the film.
That is actually
I know, I mean, Ferret's on his phone on Twitter right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think it's about, and I think it would do the world of good, because obviously you go back to the whole situation of these people who are behind these social networks and the kind of shady practice they do with the whole. I forget the thing that Facebook did with the whole advertising thing and
like selling the analytics and everything.
selling the analytics. Obviously, certain people have power manipulating advertisement and stuff and all that, and just the way Twitter goes about things, I think, is incredibly disgusting a lot of the time and very random. Like, a lot of people make fun of the kind of dead website BuzzFeed.
Oh, yeah.
And Twitter's kind of become like that to some extent, where you just see the most random stuff that they hand selected to be in the trending tab.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just really random. Sometimes it can be something that's legitimate world news, and it's like, oh, okay, like other people will provide the sources, more actually trustworthy sites. But sometimes it'll just be the most random thing where it's just like, why are you even talking about this?
I had that moment this morning, but it is a good band. So the band Butthole Surfers were trending. They're like an 80s punk band, and I don't know why, but they were trending. So just random.
And I think even with the trending, sometimes because of the way society is as well, is you'll see someone like trending like a name and you're like, oh God, who is he touched?
Oh, yeah. Oh God, yeah.
That's what it feels
yeah.
like, because usually whenever someone's trending like that, they've done something or hurt somebody or done something incredibly disgusting or whatever. Yeah, it gets like that. I think it would do people the world of good. If you speak to anyone who is not on Twitter and these social medias, they are doing pretty good. They're actually very happy people. For the most part, and I think it would just benefit the world just to kind of not have that. And also I just think the marketing and all the like fake promotion and how people can very easily buy ad space, and it's very easy to buy bots to make your show look good and all that. It's a bit of an issue, I think, and that's the one thing I'd remove, because I think right now it would help everything else that's kind of bad right now for the most part. But yeah, that's mine. Does anyone have something they would like to remove or want to, give their answer for the most part?
Yes, I've got mine. So, just like you, I think it'd help the world a lot. Capitalism. I'll accept no questions. It's just, no. Money, making the world go round, it's kind of destroying everything. It's fucking up,
It's also just an outdated thing as well. Like, come on.
Need to go back to community helping each other.
Yeah.
Something. People helping those who can't do things. Simple. Not, we have lots of money, we have power.
Let's go to space.
Exactly, yeah. Abandon this planet, it's dying anyway. Yeah,
that's a pretty bad mentality for the most. But I agree with that. I've heard that word way too many times over the last few days because of a certain video game.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
That new shit game that's kind of got a name similar to this really good game.
Yeah.
From Xbox 360 days.
Yeah, Saints Row we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Yikes.
The most polished game I've ever seen.
Polished.
Oh, it's the shiniest turd ever.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. But then again, I'm not surprised. Ace? Not Ace, sorry. Ferret, Owl?
Who's just been... Okay, I'll go.
You gonna go? Okay.
Yeah. I would say... I know you said Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll counter that. And I'll say TikTok.
Okay.
Now, I have no problem with people doing TikTok, People, they can do what they like. Free country, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care, but I just think it's really... It bugs me off. I don't know, I just don't like how...
Like how it works, or like the concept of it?
Well, I don't like the companies behind it,
the
influence they have, and what they do, with all the data they gather, because I don't like their terms and conditions. I literally read it, because I thought, might as well, and it's horrible. Other than that, I just don't like what influence it has on culture, all this quirky dancing that's going on. I don't know, like standing on top of shop desk doing a dance whilst the guy's ringing up customers,
God, I've seen that.
Doing popping and then cutting shapes.
Dancing on a bus stop.
Dancing on the bus stop. Oh, it's so embarrassing. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Like I said, no problem with the people. Just
I think the problem I have with it as well, but then like the shady government and organisation it's behind and all that, is like how like everything becomes like a challenge or whatever to some extent.
Yeah.
And also the fact that like how integrated the music industry is to it as well. Because the music industry, whenever a new song comes out, they pay like these dance groups or these people to essentially promote the song by making a dance for it to kind of become a meme or a thing which promotes the song in turn. I think a little while ago, a newer artist, she was told that she couldn't release her brand new song if it wasn't on TikTok, which was obviously a bit of an issue. Yeah, her record company said that she needs to be promoting it on TikTok before she can release it as a song, which was obviously quite upsetting and really weird for this like female artist that kind of just wants to finally release her music after making it in the industry, just to be told you need to be on TikTok and promote it, and other implications with that. But yeah, no, that's a good one. Al, do you have something you would
my one
destroy?
Would be cancer.
Yes.
Actually, because it destroys families, and obviously lost family from it as well. So if I can get rid of any disease, it would be cancer for sure. So,
No, enough said pretty much.
Yeah.
It's it's just awful. But yeah, that was my more heavy weighted one for the most part. My second question It's a little bit more fun, hopefully. And that is, what game do you believe is the greatest game ever made, or the worst game ever made? Equally, because I know that's quite a big question to ask.
Okay.
You can just state what is your favorite game, obviously, and why, and what is the most disappointing game you could play. So you got 4 options there. You got 4 options. You could answer all 4 if you want to. Don't have to. You could just give me one. I say that like as a threat. You better give me one. I ain't leaving until I get an
As long
answer.
as you give me one, we're all safe.
So I know it's quite a big question. So I'm going to go first. And I'm going to say the game that I think is the greatest game ever made. I think it's an odd one, but I think it's quite a famous one. But I do think it is still one of the greatest games ever made. And that is going to be Super Mario 64. I do think that is the closest any game has come to perfection. For so many reasons. I think it is technically one of the most impressive and most successful games in so many ways. It was the game that showed everyone how you make the transition from 8-bit/16-bit to 3D. And it did it arguably the best. Like, game industry would not be remotely where it is without that game. And I still think where that game takes place, because when you look at that game, there is so much influence to what we know as games in that game. Like, think about it. It's an open world game. It basically is an open world game. It has like one cutscene in the whole game, and then it's just you go. You find the game, you play the game. We're not going to tell you where to play. There's no waypoints. You explore this world. And they crafted such an interesting and amazing world that kind of does become like limitless in some sense. Like, you can almost do about almost anything. And it's a game I've played, and I beat that game, got all the stars without any guide, and I love the hell out of that game. I know some people probably look at that game and say, oh, but the graphics. It's not about the graphics, because I still think the game looks good. I still think it looks better than some games today. And I think it's a game that really captures that imagination. Like, there's nothing more imaginative or like child-based than just you play as a guy who jumps into paintings and you go into a magical fantasy world and you do the things. And I think that's the reason why it's one of the greatest games ever made for the most part, because there is just so much there. And I honestly think you could sit any person down, whether they've never played a video game, they're much older or a child, and I still think that they would have some level of that kind of experience that I think everyone has hopefully had when they play that game. And I just think it's just like masterfully made. And look, I don't have any issues with that game. I think it is a perfect game, and I don't think anything's really going to come close to that. I mean, almost every other major Mario game has kind of reinvented it and done that really well to some extent. And you could replace it with Galaxy or Sunshine or whatever, because they kind of reinvent that whole aspect of it being like this amazing situation. But I honestly think that's like the greatest game ever made, in my opinion. I think it's wonderful. It's a game that, honestly, when I think about it and I think about the memories I have, it honestly does bring a bit of a tear to my eye, because it's like that special to me for the most part. Real quick, I'll say the most disappointing game. The game that I think is the worst game ever made is a really weird one, because it's random. But that game is a game that I think everything that's also bad about gaming today is also present here.
Interesting.
And it's weird because that game, because I thought long and hard about it, because there's lots of games you can think about, and some people probably go, oh, Cyberpunk 2077, Watch Dogs, all those kinds of games. But I'm talking about a game that didn't come out too long ago, but it ironically did get forgotten about completely. And that game is, weirdly enough, Dead Rising 4.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Dead Rising 4 is an extremely problematic game where everything that is wrong with media is present in this game. Even down from the director and the team who made it, who rushed the game. They made it look shit. They made a bunch of changes to the core mechanics of the game by basically saying, oh, fans didn't really like that. When
the people who enjoyed the first 3 games, they didn't like this main thing, so we're removing it for the next one.
The egotistical director that you see every now and then in games, I know we are a fan of this game, but even with the director of DMC Devil May Cry, he was an egotistical arsehole.
Oh, he was,
who just needed to piss off, because the last thing you need to be doing is, when asked, hey, the fans aren't interested in your game, is taking a drag from your cigarette and going, I don't care what the fans think. So I wonder how well DMC Devil May Cry did.
He's a gigachad.
I mean, he also did like do this really homophobic presentation about Devil May Cry, which was shit.
Yeah, and made very
Yeah.
questionable allegations against characters like Trish being sexist, but then had scenes where the other cats, was it Cat in Cat in DMC, where on several occasions Dante straight up just gropes her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how is that any better than Trish, who's wearing like a cowboy outfit, if anything?
Pretty much.
So bizarre, but that's another game for another discussion. But Devil May Cry 4 is an awful game.
Dead Rising 4.
Dead Rising 4. Dead Rising 4 basically just destroyed the franchise, and I don't think it's ever going to come back. Because I think if it does come back, people are going to go, oh god,
Not
Dead Rising
again.
4. And it's such a shame because, yeah, the idea is fine. It's Frank West coming back to the franchise. Everyone loved Frank West from the first game. Even if you've never played the game, everyone is aware of Frank West to some extent.
The problem was it wasn't Frank West.
No, it wasn't
Hank
Frank West.
East.
It was Hank East, and it was voiced by someone else.
Yeah.
And when they were questioned about that, they were just like, oh yeah, well, you know, we love TJ, but this is a different Frank, he's older. And it was like, okay, so why don't you just get TJ back?
Yeah, because he's older now.
He's older now. So they got him. The other guy, you know what? The guy who voiced him did not do an awful job. He did what he needed to do.
Yeah.
He did it well, but that was not Frank West.
No.
And the game, also in my opinion, I think has probably maybe one of the worst characters of all time written in it. That being the female journalist character.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen, unfortunately, a female character written so badly in my life. Like, the definition of a hypocrite. Literally.
It's not that hard to write a woman character.
It's not that hard to write a likable
You just
character.
write a human, there you go.
Yeah. It's really bad. Some of her lines are painful. Like, they like predict Twitter stuff today kind of stuff. But yeah, no, those are my two picks. I'm not gonna do the other ones, but who wants to share there?
I've got some.
You got one, okay.
Right, so most disappointing game, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Super Mario 64. I'm fucking.
That's great.
No, so I'd say it's probably one of my favorite games. I think it's possibly one of the best made ever, which is, I believe it was from 1988, the game called Wasteland, which is it's kind of top-down RPG set in a post-apocalypse. This is before Fallout, and it's probably the closest there's ever been to a digital version of a tabletop role-playing game. You get to create your characters at the beginning, design all their stats and everything, and if they die, you can just go back and create new ones. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
it's brilliant, and you literally have to think about your survival. If you're going in the desert, you need a fucking canteen, otherwise you're going to dehydrate and die. It's honestly one of the best and creative things, and it inspired so much. Like, Fallout would not exist without this, because some of them went on to make Fallout. And you know how big that's been. I haven't seen anything nearly as creative. I mean, you can literally just blow up a door if you want to get in because you can't lockpick it or open it with a key. How often do you see that? Or blow up a chain link fence?
That's something that modern day games would like actively stop you from doing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And if you want to like kill someone that you really shouldn't, I mean, it just happens. It's like, oh, right there, done. Move on. Go into this, like, there's a police station in the game. If you accidentally do something there, the whole squad comes out and you have to fight your way out. And it is tough as nails. And I did it and it was very fun. It's like the second hardest challenge in that game besides a giant robot scorpion that kills you in one hit. So, yeah.
Gotta be prepared for that, isn't it?
You have to, and it is beautiful, and the graphics, they look like shit, but they are amazing. I don't care.
What platform was it on?
It was like, what, CD, like DOS?
Oh,
Yeah. So very old, but amazing.
Does it have a port to Steam?
Oh, it's on good
I
old.
know that's a very, like...
I believe it is on Steam.
Yeah.
It's definitely on Good Old Games.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
Is it on Switch?
Yeah,
Well-
I said it as a sit-back sort of thing.
I think
I mean, it's on Steam.
there is a remastered version, but it's not as good. But that, I think, is on Switch. Yeah. And there are 2 sequels, which I'm playing the second one at the moment. But it's...
Not the same.
No, it's not. But it's alright.
Fair enough. Who wants to go next? Are you good? Do you have
Oh,
anything?
yeah. No, that was all.
Al?
Yeah, my
Share
favourite
yours?
game of all time is definitely Bloody Roar 2.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah. Okay.
Because I feel like it's the only like fighting game that's like really unique because it's like you have obviously you're fighting as humans, but then you can transform into animals as well. I mean, you got Tekken and Street Fighter, but like they don't transform into animals.
Exactly.
Like bloody raw, they transform into animals. It's so cool, and you can just like mix up the combos. They got like special moves and stuff. Yeah, it's a shame that franchise hasn't been remastered or rebooted and they've made a new one. So.
It's a missed opportunity, big
Yeah,
time.
definitely. 100%.
Big time. Especially when fighting games are arguably on the rise to some extent. Or
Yeah.
kind of more in the, back in the mainstream
Yeah,
or
exactly.
public eye.
Yeah, it's getting more popular now. So the most disappointing game is Mario 64. No,
Your eyes lit up over there.
That was twice. I didn't expect that.
This podcast was about to end abruptly.
I can't think of my most disappointing game, but I just want to
Fair
throw that in
enough,
there.
fair
But
enough.
yeah.
Ferret, I think we're not allowed anymore.
Yeah, we're banned.
So be careful what you say now. Otherwise this will just be the Ferret and podcast. So.
Oh no, just the and
The
raccoon.
raccoon and.
No, I'll keep the and.
Oh.
But yeah, what
Right.
would you say?
First, most what was it? The most amazing game.
Whichever you want to do.
My
So
first.
like what you think is the greatest, the most disappointing,
There we
favorite
go.
or
The
worst.
greatest, I'd say, is Dark Souls Part 1. When it came out when I was like, what, 17, 18? So I'm showing my age here a bit. But, I remember it was literally, I went to the store, I asked the guy behind the counter, when we used to have game, I said, what's a good game to buy? Because I was, you know when you playing string of games but you can't get into them.
Yeah.
But you need something, you want that addiction back just for like a week where you're proper intense on a game.
Yep.
You'd spend literally hours on it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I asked him, what's a difficult game? He says, well, there's this game called Dark Souls. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's see
Wait,
that.
did he actually talk like that?
He did. I love the guy. He's one of my he's a mate of mine. I love him. Well, I say mate.
There's this game called Dark Souls.
He threw it out like that. Do you want it? Do you want it? And then I run back home and said, Dad, give me 50 quid now. Give me 50 smacks. I want it. So yeah, I literally just played it. Oh my god. Because I dropped out of school at that point. I was like, yeah, man, all day playing that. Oh my god, it was brilliant. I was so into it that I had a little times table of when am I going to train.
I remember that.
You remember that?
I'm showing
I
that.
literally showed you that.
Yes.
In my room. And I had, I'd have days, it was colour coordinated. I'd have days where I'd literally just grind for souls so I could level up.
Oh my.
And then I would fight bosses. And this went on for like weeks. It was awesome. I did all the achievements and everything. However, the most disappointing game is the second half of Dark Souls. Because the first half is literally, up until the bells, is probably the best, most amazing game design ever in my opinion. And I love Metal Gear Solid, and I've been playing that game. I cried every Metal Gear Solid game, and I'm saying Dark Souls, the first half is brilliant. It's a masterpiece. Second half is just goes downhill. It just becomes a bit. It repeats.
You're
And it's
saying
not
you
as
didn't,
creative.
you didn't enjoy the Bed of Chaos?
Oh,
Really?
No, I was not a fan of Bed of Chaos. No, thank you. Oh god, it was just mind numbing.
Just falling, or just trying to run through, keep falling down,
Just falling down. Literally do a little jump. Bye.
get knocked off by a little twig.
Just get knocked off. Bye bye. Oh, well, okay. Thanks for that. So that's so the first half, best game design ever in my opinion. Second half, most disappointing. It's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's just disappointing because it had so much potential. Yeah, I'd say that's
Fair enough. So good selections all round. I got my last question now, and we're definitely gonna have to pull back from the mic for this one, I suspect. So that is going to be, what is the funniest thing you've ever seen?
Oh gosh. Oh my god.
We haven't even said ours, and we're already laughing.
I don't know where to go. There's like so much.
What can I think of?
So I'll start. So the funniest thing I've ever seen. I think about this a lot because, yeah, like I said, one of the funniest I've ever seen.
At night time in your bedroom.
Sometimes.
You just like that.
No, not like a manic person. No.
And Super Mario.
No.
Please explain.
It's fine. No, it's fine. Because I'm just thinking about how tough this podcast is going to be to get it with all this laughter, but it's fine. So, one of the funniest things I've ever seen was back when we were at school. And funny enough, Ferret, you can relate to this story.
Please.
Because typically when we would finish school, we would wait for the bus.
Yeah.
You know, even the bus we'd wait for.
Great time.
And there was one day when it was a snowy day.
Yeah.
And we obviously, because of course we were like school kids and all that, we got like, you know, our box of chicken and chips or whatever and that. And obviously given the snow, given the bus, it was not going to go down the hill. So we decided that we were going to walk like we usually do. And it was me, I think it was me, someone else. I can't remember if it was someone else or just me, Obsidian, and you. And you walked on ahead. And as you walked on ahead, yeah, no, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. As you walked on ahead, you unfortunately walked on top of like a steel grate, which is obviously frozen over and slippery. So Ferret basically slipped on this, and he kept slipping, like just trying to hold his balance. Like he must have slipped like several good times, but he didn't fall down like, you know, completely flat. But the most amazing thing about that, it was hilarious because me and Obsidian were just standing there, just watching him just like struggle on ice, basically. The most amazing thing was the fact that he was holding a box of chicken and chips, and he kept that one hand the whole time, and he saved that chicken and chips from falling.
Well, he had his priorities.
It was probably the funniest thing because it was just a moment where if you were there, like no one else was there. It was just me and Obsidian watching this moment of just like something out of a comedy film. No one was saying anything. Neither nor me nor Obsidian were laughing. Technically, we were just watching that moment, and you just got up and just was like, "Yeah, let's go." And it's still one of the funniest things. I remember later on, Obsidian told me that regarding that day, he wrote in his diary, that's the day Ferret saved the chicken. That's how I always remember that day, and that is still one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's my story. Ace.
Oh yeah. So this is the first one that came to my head. It was when I was like, I think roughly 7 in primary school, and Pokemon was the craze. It was everywhere, and everyone was showing off their Pokemon like card collections, everything. Like everyone had massive sets of them, and this one kid who was the rich kid, he had like a massive stack. Like I don't even know how long to describe it. Like bigger than a laptop or something amount, and he brought those with him. So everyone was always trying to trade with him and everything. And then someone just said, "Oh, why don't we play Pokemon?" It's like, you know, I'll be whatever Pokemon. And he was like, "I'm going to be a Rapidash." So he puts his cards into his pocket, just starts trolloping around, and all of them start falling out and leave a whole trail. And he's just not even realising every single card fell out. By the time he looked around, there weren't any more. Every card was gone. And that's how I got a shiny Charizard.
Okay.
Wow,
That's hard to get.
It was a great day.
That's something worth dissecting, man.
It was beautiful.
Jeez. Wow.
I can't remember him being at school after that for a while.
No, he was.
I don't blame him.
He was crying.
His mother probably just put the leash in and went, "Yeah, let's go." Al, funniest thing you've ever seen?
It's too many to count, but I'll do one that's happened probably more recently.
Okay.
So it was one day I was at work, and I'd like work as like a receptionist. So literally, a guy, he came in from like the road, and then literally, because we have like a bowl of sweets at the like near the door, and literally the cheek of it, he just came in and took the sweets and walked back out.
Wow.
It's like, what is going on? Like my kids, yeah, I was just bursting out of laughter. And they're all just looking at me like, what's wrong with this girl? Why is she laughing so hard? I was like, the cheek of it. Do you not get the cheek of it? And he had his marijuana hat on as well, so he looked dodgy from the get-go. So
Wait, was that me?
Hang on. What's going on?
Oh gosh, but yeah, no, that was the funniest thing that's happened to me while at work anyway. But yeah.
Pass me a sweet ace.
Do you want a Pokemon card too?
Ferret, funniest thing you've ever seen?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to think. It really is. Oh, I'm quite bad at it. There's so much, I literally laugh at everything. Oh my gosh, but I'm just trying to find what's something that actually crippled me proper. Stitch in the side and everything. Teeth aching, chattering, dribbling nose.
These are all good.
Crusty eyes.
All good descriptions.
Oh gosh. I'm just trying to think. I think one of the. It sounds quite strange. Now just bear with me for a moment. It is a bit weird. I remember when everyone at school, they used to just chase you, so they could like pull your pants down.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Just hear me out.
Okay.
Are you sure this wasn't just to you?
No, it was to everyone in the
Are you
school.
It was to everyone.
Oh my
Yeah.
And I just remember it was us. It's us four. And, you know.
Yeah.
So you got Obsidian, you got yourself and me, obviously. And
Yeah.
we've got another unidentified person.
Maybe not the best way to describe it. Let's just say R.
Yeah,
R,
R.
yeah.
We got R. And I don't know why, it always sticks as such a fun day. It's just a lovely memory, just all of us just running away from the horde. Yeah. Literally, they used to. It was literally like a documentary, like lions running after gazelles or something. You know what I mean? You remember that? They just used to sweep across the playground.
It's
It was so much fun, just running away to fret of getting your pants pulled down, and just because you're with your friends as well. You can't ask for more. Honestly, it's a really funny day. I never got my pants pulled down. Just for the
but
record.
also, real quick, just for clarification, you weren't pulling anyone's trousers down. You weren't.
Other than my own.
Because right. Moving on. Ace, what are your questions?
Okay. So what video game would you say you spent the most time playing?
Oh, that's a good one.
So for me, I think it's Minecraft. Just because how long you end up spending creating things in there and just mining for materials and then playing online with friends. You know, you kind of just sink hours and days and then weeks into it, and then you've forgotten what you're doing in life.
Life has no meaning to some extent. That's a tricky one because there's a lot of games that I could say. So I think I can't really give a definitive one, but the ones I recall playing the most, I'll go through them real quick. So the ones I think were obviously Super Mario 64. I think I put like tons of hours into that one. Then I think I would say New Super Mario Bros. On the 3DS because I low-key actually did used to speedrun that game before it was a thing, and obviously I didn't know that speedrunning was a thing, so that was I would just run through the game over and over and over and over and over again, basically. Next, I would probably say maybe Rayman Legends.
Ooh.
I played that game for, I think, every day for a whole year.
Wow.
Mainly because I love the game, and also because they had the daily challenges, and I really wanted to get to the final rank of the daily challenges, and I did. And you can't get that trophy anymore because those things are not a thing anymore because of the thingy. So that, and then I think the last game that I think I've played the most would be, what's the name? Oh, I'm forgetting the name. Oh, I think most likely Borderlands 2. I think that was the other game that I think I've played the most because I've had a lot of fun times with that. Just playing with the crew and getting the four people together. Yeah, those are, I'd say, are the games I played the most. I can't give you a definitive one, but yeah, those are the ones. Al, can you think of one that you think you've played the most or the longest?
I would say Digimon World 3 on PS1. That's the one I've probably played the most because I played it for like years. So I've got like 800 hours. I know that sounds like but I mean, yeah, that's like the game I've got the most hours in. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'll say Tekken Tag Tournament 2, but I forgot how many hours I got in that game. But yeah,
not as many as Obsidian though.
No, okay.
He probably has 1,000 hours into
probably
that
has
game.
Probably has way more. But yeah, no, I used to stay up like on really hours just playing that game. Trying to like unlock all the costumes and stuff.
No, that's a sign of a good
That's
game.
actually going cool.
No, sign of a good game. Ferret, what do you think is the
It
longest?
sounds bad because.
Oh, no, I already
said
know.
I feel like I know what it
800
is.
And 1,000 hours, and I'm like, oh, that's not even close.
No, I know what you're gonna say.
You know that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, because I've actively avoided work. I've protests for a number of years. Until recently, sadly.
Don't worry, we've all been there.
All been there.
Yeah.
Same old story. I used to just play League of Legends.
I knew it.
League of Legends. And I've basically, at least, I have about 13 accounts
Flipping
that
out.
span, from like Silver to Master. And I think across those accounts, I've got about at least 10,000 hours. At least.
Bloody
That's
hell.
really bad. It's really bad. I have a really bad addiction. Up until recently.
He had been playing like League since I think before me and Ferret met, and we met in 2005.
No. It wasn't that. No.
No, was it no? Or was it after?
It was. There was a long period because I used to play Maple Story.
Oh yeah.
And that was really bad as well. That's when I started. 2005 when I started playing Maple Story.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that for thousands of hours as well, at least like 5,000 hours. And but League of Legends I've been playing since season 4, which is around like 2014, something like that. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Ace, you have a second question?
I do indeed.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so do you have any tattoos? If not, what would you want to get?
Okay.
So I've already got 4 tattoos, and I don't know how many more planned. Both of my arms are going to end up being covered before the next few years, so
That's cool.
yeah. And if I tried to list them all, I think we'd be here for way too long. So yeah, I've got a lot planned.
Okay. Like, I don't really have any plans of having tattoos, mainly because personally, given just how I look, I don't think it would look good on me, and also with some technicalities, I technically have tons of tattoos, given scars and spots and all that on my body. But it's hard to say. I think if I were to get a tattoo, I think the only thing I would probably get is maybe just a tattoo of Pazuzu. But more specifically, Pazuzu being like one of the demons that exist. Specifically, Pazuzu in regards to Gorilla's lore. So that version of Pazuzu. That's the only thing I would get, or like the weird skeleton character they have, which I don't know if it has a name. But yeah, that's the only tattoo I would get. I don't know where I'd get it. But yeah, that's the only thing I would get for the most part. But yeah. Al?
I don't have any tattoos, or nor do I plan to get any. But if I was to wear, it's not really a tattoo. I wouldn't consider it as, but I love like henna.
Oh yeah.
I love that. So I would definitely like wear that at one point if I was to go to like a wedding or something like that. But that would be something I'd ideally love to wear. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's a nice.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's
I like
a good
that.
one.
Yeah.
Good idea.
As long as it's not like the permanent one that you put on your face, because I know some people.
No, just like on my hands.
Some people
Hands
have
and
messed
feet.
up big time with that.
Is that actually a permanent henna?
Somewhat
kind of.
doesn't come off kind of
Yeah.
thing. Not a permanent one,
Yeah,
but
it
one that
takes a
lasts a
while.
long
Takes a while to come
time.
off. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ferret, do you have any plans?
So I don't have any tattoos, but I don't have plans because I don't really want any. But if I had to, I would definitely go for big image from Berserk of Guts, and I'll go for it on my chest.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll go all on my chest. Yeah, to be honest, I would get tattoos, but I'm a bit like I don't like healing, like waiting. For
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but
I'm still waiting for this one to heal at the moment.
yeah,
It's
Yeah,
like
the newest one.
yeah.
I'd get paranoid. I'm really quite paranoid about like if I get a cut, isn't it like, oh my god, am I going to get an infection? You know what I mean? I'm a bit of a baby in that regard, a bit of a mummy's boy. Bit soft, you know. So I wouldn't do that just because of that. But if I could, I'll probably get sleeves if I'm honest.
Oh, see, that's what I'm doing.
Like full sleeves, yeah, just proper, lots of different stuff. So quite like,
yeah,
like flowers. I'm not mad enough to admit it.
Oh no, that's pretty cool.
No wrong
Flowery designs.
I'm gonna get a mermaid on here, so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Mermaid. Where would you get it like?
Oh, I'm getting it like there.
Is it going to be like a sailor's one kind of thing?
No, it's gonna like a mermaid kind of holding like a crystal or a pearl or something.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'd get just to get different symbols as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I'd go for that. In a world where I wasn't afraid.
Real quick, when you mentioned the mermaid, probably the only other like tattoo I'd probably get is I forget her name, but it's the character from Rayman. I think Mama whatever she's called, Big Mama, whatever she's called. It was kind of a spoiler. One of the last fairy characters you meet. I'd probably get her because I really like her design.
Nice.
One of those characters because I think everything about Rayman and the new Raymans is really cool, and Ubisoft needs to hurry up and do another one. Owl, your questions.
Oh my god, I've actually forgotten my questions.
I can tell you them if you want me to.
Oh yeah, what was your first cinema experience?
The very first time you
Yeah,
went
very
cinema.
first.
Okay.
Very first.
So what was your first experience?
Mine was to go see Shrek, I believe, when it first came out in the cinema. That was in
my
like
God.
That is cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and like I went to a cinema that was like in the local area that's not there anymore. And yeah, I think it was quite nice going for the first time and stuff. It was like seeing the film on a big screen. It was exciting, but I think I remember running around. So yeah,
Children used to do that. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was my first cinema experience.
Okay. My first one it was like technicality because the first time my mother tried to take me to see a film, I don't know what film it was, but my mom has told me on several occasions that me and my sister opened the door, I partly went in and then said, I'm not going in there. And then we didn't go to the cinema. But the first film that we actually sat down and watched, and this is going to show my age because people are like, how old is this guy anyway? The first film we actually sat down and watched and enjoyed was the Barney movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first one we watched, and that was enjoyable because that is a fun film for children at least. And it's weird to see Barney go from a not so greatly filmed TV show to actually cinematic.
Yeah.
That show is. Well, I never actually liked the show. I actually liked the film, and I still think the film is all right as it is. The film gets lit when they start flying in that bathtub. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm actually kind of amazed right now.
It gets it's funny enough. They actually low key try and almost scare you with Barney to some extent. Like there's a scene that's almost like I think it literally they pull back the shower curtain and he's right there, and it's like something out of a horror film.
Oh, it's like Psycho.
Not quite like that shot, but it is literally there are a few scenes where I think the kid is freaking out because he's seen something.
Well, I would imagine so.
I mean, if you see a giant purple dinosaur.
Showering, I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's my shower. You know,
You always give the children these kinds of voices, man.
That's the first thing you'd say. I'd be confused.
you gotta be. You gotta give them.
Ace.
You gotta give it life.
Ace, what was your first cinema experience?
The first one I can properly remember was watching the first Pokemon movie.
Oh,
That's cool.
yeah.
And I think similar time there was the Digimon ones. But the ones I remember the most is seeing Fellowship of the Ring. And my mum just falling asleep and enjoying it. And me and my brother just sitting there like, oh my god, this is amazing. Just eyes lit up, and we couldn't stop talking about it for the rest of the night.
Understandable.
And my mum was just like, yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, parents do have a tendency to fall asleep. We're like, Mom, let's be... Oh, you should sleep. But the reason your parents fall asleep is because they're tired and they want a break.
Yeah,
so
exhausted.
Please be respectful. Ferret, what was your first cinema experience?
Well, Ace pretty much said it. I was going to say Pokemon, but you mentioned Digimon.
Yep.
And I'm like, the Digimon movie was the first bit was so sick.
It was.
I remember seeing it. It was fantastic. When he just turns into, I think it's Greymon. Yeah.
You would
turns
know if
into-
anyone now.
Yeah, it turns into
Resident
Greymon.
Digimon expert.
When they have it was so sick. Everything about that movie I loved. Yeah, and it sticks out to me more than Pokemon, even though I like Pokemon a bit more.
Yeah.
It's just I think the movies are more interesting. That movie in particular.
And I think they've had less movies. If I
Oh,
remember, Digimon has.
yeah, Digimon's like
I know
sadly. Really
They've
not
got like
popular.
the Digimon Tri movies that came out recently.
6 of those.
Yeah.
There's a new Digimon anime as well. There's a reboot. Of
Ghost
the first
something.
one.
Ghost game or.
No, it's the
Oh.
original. It's the reboot of the
Oh,
yes.
original one.
yeah, that's
with
right.
the original
Yeah.
cast,
Yeah.
which I've started watching. I watched
Oh.
like a couple of episodes.
You enjoying it?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, I thought
Good.
it was quite interesting.
It's funny as well because another cinema experience also relates back to Digimon for me as well.
Oh, I remember this
Because
story.
yeah, you remember this story. Because I really wanted to see the Digimon film,
Aw.
and when we went to the cinema, it was sold out,
Oh.
and
Aw.
I got really upset.
Oh,
About that. You know, even to the point where I think one of my parents said like, "Oh, well, we can go see the Emperor's New Groove." And I was so mad that I couldn't see the Digimon movie that I remember that day and then vowing and swearing that I'd never watch another film again. I was that upset.
My goodness.
And he still hasn't to this day.
Never watched another film ever since. And then I watched the Digimon film. I didn't like it. I liked the original one, but not the Western one with Angela Anaconda attached to it. and all that.
We don't talk about that.
No, we don't talk about Angela.
That horrifies me.
Yeah, because that's technically part of the movie. People forget that.
I
It
know.
wasn't just part of the cinema viewing. It's part of the movie. If you
Yeah.
buy the DVD, that plays before the actual Digimon
Yeah, it
film.
does, yeah.
Oh my god, what a mistake Fox Kids was. Al, I believe you have a second question as well.
So my second question is, if there's one video game that you could pick that you can play, there's only one game you can play for the rest of your entire life, what game would it be? And why? So
That's a good question. What's yours?
mine, again, would probably be Bloody Roar 2 because it's my favourite game of all time. So that's the only game. I just love the soundtrack and just the gameplay and everything. But yeah, I think that's like the only game, yeah, I could just sit and actually specifically play it on the PS1 as well.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I would say the game, if I can only play one game for the rest of my life, it would be Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Oh, interesting.
The reason why is because it's a long game, you can do anything, and I think just trying to master everything in that game based on how well and how janky and how poorly designed certain things are would actually take a lifetime. Because the thing with speedrunning is it takes months to kind of figure out what you need to do, but it takes years to actually get a good run going.
Right.
I would like just trying to figure out things like the train like mission and all that
Oh,
kind of stuff and
God.
other things that would take you months, maybe years, just to figure out how to perfectly execute that. Because even to this day, people don't know. People haven't figured it out, and it's not been fixed. It's just like one of those great gaming mysteries. That's why it's such a meme for the most part.
Just got to follow the damn train, CJ.
Yeah, just go. It's right there. But that's the game I would pick. Ace.
Oh, yeah. So mine is kind of... I don't know if this counts as a cheat answer, but Dwarf Fortress. It's still not finished, and it's still getting updates. And basically, it's a kind of ASCII art style roguelike where you're just a bunch of dwarfs and you're just kind of building your territory, mining, hunting, like trading with elves and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you can literally do anything. Like your characters could say, oh yeah, this dwarf, and they have a random name. They died from dysentery, or they died from a broken heart. They jumped into the lava for fun and died. Now their bones are in there. And literally almost anything, almost simulation style. And it's almost endless in what you can do.
Yeah.
Even if you've got like 2 dwarves left, you could just continue playing forever. So a magic game.
It's a really good game. I played it as well. I think it's fantastic. I love it. It's very hard to get into.
Oh yes,
But-
like give you a few weeks just for training.
Yeah, just to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are mods for it, which
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you
they
can,
help.
Like they display it in a different graphics. They give it
Yeah.
graphics to make
Yeah.
it more
Accessible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more accessible.
Okay, so Ferret, what would your answer be?
It's gonna sound like a bad answer, but League of Legends, because hear me out.
That's great.
Because it's endless possibilities, and because it will be online, I'll be able to play against loads of different people, and that makes it just dynamic and interesting. And honestly, anyone can criticize the game, but you can't criticize the company. You could literally play. But honestly, you could play that game, and you could just accumulate different skins, and your account can go from 0 to about £1,000 without spending a penny on, and that's really rare for a massive game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they just keep pulling all their resources into correct avenues, like creating the World Championships, where it gets millions of viewers. It's a beautiful game. It's brilliant. It's genius, and the company behind it are brilliant.
Okay, that's a good one. I haven't really thought of the whole idea of endlessly playing with different people and that kind of being like a source of like the game kind of, I guess, always being different to some extent. That's a cool idea. It's just up to you now for your questions.
Okay. What game character has made the biggest impact in your life? I would say Solid Snake.
Took my answer.
I'd say Solid Snake because playing that when you're like, what? I was like 5 years old. I just wanted to be that guy. He was so cool. And even now, when I'm out and about or having a walk, I'll slowly go up towards the wall and go peek around the edge.
Just start tapping.
Peek around and say, and I'll shout Meryl or
Meryl.
Yeah? Or Karen.
I'll just, brilliant character. I love it. And I've never been so attached to a game character, a fictional person, as much as I am with Solid Snake. I love his story. And I cried at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4. Beyond, I cried. I still cry to this day.
No, I did as well.
It's beautiful. The guy's amazing. He's amazing. Right.
Fair enough.
Who's next?
I think I'll just add to that because it's the same person.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's heartbreaking, everything that happened. And then it wasn't even in a Metal Gear game, but in a Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, where Sam Fisher's in it. And they're talking about like the only other stealth specialist, and it's like this American guy with a bandana, and he's just looking around like, I'm the last one left. It hurt.
So sad. That literally.
It was painful.
Right there.
So yeah, Solid Snake, magic.
Yeah, my one is tricky because that's something that I personally would say that aren't really any characters that have like a massive impact. I'd say more games, if anything. But I think the only kind of... It's really tricky for me to answer because, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't say any character has more games itself and what games have, I guess, done for the industry, done for art, done for me to some extent. It's kind of going to be a weird one, but I would say the character that had the most impact is... Yeah, I would say James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2. Now, I know...
Oh, nice.
I know that anyone who knows anything about this character might be like, what, you relate to this guy or whatever, and no, I wouldn't say he's me or that I can relate in any kind of sense because I've not been through or done the things that he has done.
Especially with a pillow.
Yeah. The only thing I would say why I like that character and why he's had a big impact is because he's probably one of the only video game characters, and I would say the other two characters being Heather and Harry, that actually feel genuine because they actually feel like people you would know, because what they go through and the kinds of things they do and all that, it does feel like it does come from a real place and you can kind of understand. Still, that scene in the beginning of Silent Hill 2 where James is in the bathroom is still one of the best cutscenes ever made because it just tells you everything about this character and what you're about to go through. Without saying very few words. Yes, you could say it's ominous or mysterious or whatever, but he's a really interesting character in that front because, you kind of relate to this guy because you kind of get invested in like what's him, because it's something you could realistically see something happening to you. Like if you ever, lose someone you love and you get a letter from them out of nowhere, of course you would go to the place that they say they are. Of course you would kill anything that gets in your way or be skeptical of things that don't quite seem right, but you want them to be real. And that's really why like Silent Hill was also one of the best games ever made, but also why you're never going to get anything like that. As much as people want to go on about like stories and games and all that nowadays with like more of the Sony exclusives, they never really have like that relatability or that heart or that actual story, or even really let you play the game. Because Silent Hill 2 lets you play the game.
Oh yeah.
Last of Us 2 or like God of War, they don't really want you to play the game. They're more interested in showing you the story. You need to understand why the characters are sad. Look, they're sad. They've gone through so much. Look. Why are you playing? Stop. Look.
I mean, the game actually does that at points. Literally stops you so you can look around.
That's true.
You know, there's too much hand-holdy, trying to push your nonsensical message, just trying to be sappy and manipulative. Silent Hill doesn't do that. You are not supposed to like James Sunderland for a lot of reasons, but you can understand why you want to finish that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my answer to some extent, even if maybe it doesn't quite make too much sense. I think you're the only person not to answer this one.
Yeah, so the character that's impacted me the most, I'd say, is definitely Lara Croft from Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah.
Not the new Tomb Raider. I'll be specific. The core design games, the original games.
Before
Nice.
2013.
Yeah, basically before that. I would say because I grew up, I watched my aunties playing it growing up, and before I went to school and everything. I remember one time thinking about it in nursery and I got told off for that. And then obviously getting older and playing the games, I still play it to this day, like over and over again because I really love the games. But there's like a specific point in one of the games, which is the third one, where like you get your guns back and like you get the Desert Eagle, which is the best gun in the game, and like. You get ready and like the music starts playing. You're just running up the hill with the Desert Eagle in one hand and get ready to shoot up some security guards. It's just the best. This is the most badass thing in one of the games. I just love that part, and I always do it all the time. Just replay that level just to go through that.
That actually sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You got the save spot ready.
Yeah.
Had a bad day, just load it up.
Yeah. That's definitely
That's fair enough. And Ferret, I believe you have the last question.
Yeah. Alright,
Last question for this special.
Well, I want to make it a little bit more interesting.
Okay. As you can tell from Ferret's voice, we're winding down. It's now the midnight hour.
Yeah, he's put a gun on the table. There's one bullet in it.
Russian roulette now.
Who wants to pull first? So that's his question.
It's a Desert Eagle.
Oh.
Desert Eagle as well.
Oh well, I'm not sure.
No save place. No save point. Let's have it recorded as well. What's one of your worst moments as a human being?
Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh.
Don't cop out. Come
Okay.
on. Let's go.
Oh no!
So you go first.
Yeah.
I go first, alright? Oh god. I'm just having to think.
He wasn't even prepared.
I'm not genuinely. I wasn't really prepared. I'm not prepared. Gosh.
If you want, someone else can go ahead of
Would
you.
anything pop out to anyone?
Oh,
I can go if you want me to.
Yeah, go for
yeah.
it.
So probably one of the worst moments ever. I think you were there, but you probably weren't like there when it happened for the most part. But this was during Disneyland Paris. Disneyland Paris trip, you know, the infamous trip. So for whatever reason, because I know this, although this line is very outdated and people discuss it and all that, because boys will be boys. Obviously, at Disneyland, the moment the boys find the Wild Wild West section, there's guns there. And I think
say that again. Sorry.
what?
I didn't hear. I'm laughing. Would you say that again?
When we got to the Wild Wild West section, why is that so funny?
Ferret's face is destroying us.
Were you talking about boys on a school trip and then you mentioned Wild Wild West?
Boys in the West.
Pretty much, like it's. I mean, have we not all seen Lord of the Flies? I mean,
Oh yes.
like happens pretty much, but got to that, the West End theme shop or whatever, obviously they've got like a whole stack of just like toy guns you can buy for them, so like Western style like revolvers and stuff like that. To cut ahead of the story I'm about to say, almost every boy bought a gun and had a gun with them for the next 2 days walking around Disneyland. Obviously a fake looking gun, but there is a very funny photo of one of my friends and me pointing our guns at like the statue of Walt Disney. That's just how young we were back then. And just other random shenanigans that happened. But for whatever reason, and I do have a photo to prove it, which is somewhere buried. For whatever reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to buy like a shotgun like toy, like
Ooh.
gun, like a not quite a replica one, but like long enough to really stand out. So, yeah, very,
Right here on set right now.
very long, very long one. So I remember, like, I actually bought it for the most part, which everyone's like, oh my god, you bought his gun. So as we were like lining up to go back to the hotel, and that one of the teachers, like a teacher I actually really liked, she actually spotted that I had like the gun with me. For the most part.
This teacher spotted my gun.
Spotted my shotgun. Now I just tucked behind.
No, it had like a
got my
strap.
carry.
It had like a strap, so it was like right there, pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
Because it was like a revolver repeater or whatever you want to call it. So she saw that I had this, and she was like, you know, Raccoon, is that gun you have? And I was like, you know, yeah. And she was like, Raccoon, you know what this is, right? This is a gun. This kills people. Why would you buy something like this? This is horrible. I am so disappointed in you, Raccoon. And then she just walked off.
Pulled it out. So say that again.
Like, I was absolutely like distraught, like hearing that, because like she was a teacher I liked, and for the record, she was 100% correct. I don't necessarily agree with how she handled it or how exactly I'm remembering. Make of it how you will, but you know, I mean, I did feel kind of bad, and I think people were kind of, you know, rightfully on my side of like, yeah, that was a bit uncalled for the most part. You know, I didn't really feel too great about that whole situation, and I actually honestly never spoke to that teacher ever again, nor did she ever speak to me.
Wow.
Coincidentally, we never were in the same class. I wonder why. But yeah, I did not feel great that time, and I had to like sell the gun to someone else because it was just like, yeah, it bothered me way too much. I couldn't really realistically have it today or take it back with me.
Yeah.
Granted, back then you obviously could have had like a toy gun in your luggage and that. But yeah, no, it's something I do think about, and it's not something that's I wouldn't say it's not something I'm not proud of, but it does bother me to some extent. I do wonder why I did that, but then again, I was probably like the least worst thing that happened on that trip, and I think you know what I'm talking about. But I'm talking to Ferret for the most part.
There's a lot of these stories.
Ferret, what did you do?
No, not you.
That's coming up. Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
You know what happened to some people.
But you know these school stories, they just expand.
Because
You've got so much to tell me after this.
Yeah, we do. That's
I
gonna
can't
be.
remember genuinely.
You know when I say it. Who wants to go next with that story? You?
I mean, it's not exactly a story. It's more just in general certain things.
Okay.
So I think like breaking up with someone and seeing the look on their face is just, it kills you inside.
Yeah.
It's just like they've got this trust and you've got the trust, and then you tell them this and they're like, "What happened?" And it's something.
Everything was okay.
Yeah, and everything just drops and drains. It's awful, and like I've had it happen to me, and so I know both sides. Where it's like, oh, you feel like shit afterwards. It's terrible. So yeah, that's my worst human being thing.
I'll say mine then.
Okay,
I'll
go
say
on
mine
then.
quickly then. So mine was actually a nursery. No, it was dumb. But basically, you have the toy cars outside and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like one kid decided to like go in the same direction as me and crash into my car, and he started complaining, right? So what I did is I headbutted him, and he started crying.
Oh my god!
He started crying, right? And then like the teacher came back to me and told me off for it, and I just stood there like a G, man. I was like, yeah, right. I don't know why he was crying for, but okay.
God.
You know, I don't think you did anything wrong there.
See, like I'm worried because I know you're going for your driver's license. So
Thanks for confessing.
do not get into a car accident with Al. That's all I'm gonna say. You will find yourself on the floor.
Yeah, what if you want to get headbutted? Can this be arranged?
I mean, there's people out there. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'm there.
Ferret falls onto you.
Falls into me, alright.
That's where it gets dark.
Yeah.
started it all.
One who started it all. I started it. It's time to end it. I'd say one of my. It was just a fight. It was guy spoke about dog. My dog had passed away.
Oh yeah.
Little doggy. And then I remember all day I was seething about it. I was like, he spoke about my dog, made fun of him. As we're walking to the what is it? We had a park, didn't we? A school park.
Yeah, the park by there. Yeah.
We had a park. And I saw him. I'm walking along by the fence. And he's walking towards the little changing rooms. And I'm just looking at him thinking, give me a second. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. And I'll get you. So when we get in, I was like, can I have a word with you for a minute? And I'll do my little hand gesture. Can I have a word with you for a minute? And he's like, yeah, with you. Because he's an idiot. He's an idiot. Yeah, with Bug. No, he's not a roadman.
Oh, he's just a roadman.
He's
not
like
that dumb.
he's a junior roadman.
He's an idiot in general. Yeah, with Bug. And then you said this about my dog. For some reason, I lifted him up. I didn't know where it came from, all the strength. And I said, we're going to talk about my dog. And then I punched him and went, oh! He made that sound. He made a grown man sound. Oh! And then I just dropped him. I didn't drop him like proper, like didn't knock him out. I just let him go. And I walked away and got changed in my stuff. And then the next day, he ran to the playground. He's like, "Hey, how are you, man? Right, hey." High fiving me. And ever since then, he's been like one of those suck ups.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
ever since then, I haven't seen him since. Well, for the next years down at school, he was a suck up. He's one of those types. He'll talk behind your back and make fun of you. And when you give him a little slap around, he's like, "Hey, I'm a best mate." Yeah, well, yeah. That was definitely low point. I've never been in a fight. I'm not fighting. I'm up for a fight. I've never been.
All right, come on, Ferret, let's go outside.
Let's make it happen.
I was going to headbutt you.
Oh, God. 200 special,
Don't
right?
forget, Raccoon's got his gun.
Yeah, we all got stuff, haven't we? 200 special, right? Yeah. My God.
Yeah, pretty much.
Crew fight.
Oh my gosh.
Crew fight. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, it's because I've never been in a fight. I don't like fights, even though I'm up for a fight. No, it sounds really weird.
You're always prepared for a
If it's
fight.
justified on my behalf,
Yeah, I get you.
then I'm up for it. But I'll never do anything unwillingly
yeah.
because I wouldn't. It would just make me feel so bad if I even tried anything. Because I don't like making people feel bad. But that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
smacked him. He made fun of my dog.
I think that's justified, to be
Yeah,
honest.
justified.
Yeah.
That's why I'm alright speaking about it.
No, that's understandable. To be honest, you don't really comedically or whatever bring up stuff like that because that stuff hurts, especially when it's that fresh. So, to be honest, in my opinion, justified.
Justified.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to be our QAs. We had some laughs. That kind of just leaves the video of the episodes for the most part, and we have 2 this time around. Ferret, would you like to say what your one is?
Breaking Bad goat karting.
Yeah. It's a shorter video, but possibly one of the funniest and best edited videos released this year, in my opinion. Yeah. I've nothing else to say. Pretty much that, yeah, just go watch it.
Love his voice.
My pick is going to be Papura. I believe that's how you pronounce it, by Shigeru Tamagami. I'm not sure how you exactly pronounce his name because I think it's not quite as it's said or spelled. But essentially, this is a 3-minute independent animation, and I think it's probably one of the best animations I've seen maybe ever. I'm not going to say too much about it. I'm not going to explain it or anything because it's definitely a piece of animation that you may watch and may not quite understand, but the clues and the kind of the ideas and the visuals are definitely there. The only thing I will say about it is it probably has maybe the best depiction of eye movements in animation I think I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, those are gonna be our picks. So you get 2 video episodes this time around. But yeah, That was episode 200, a much longer episode than we usually do. But I mean, we are celebrating 200 episodes of the Ferret Raccoon podcast.
And we've all been on every episode, so you know.
Of course. I mean, if you don't hear Ferret, you're just not listening hard enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I want to thank Ace, I want to thank Al, I want to thank Ferret for being on this episode to kind of, celebrate this milestone for the most part. And I also want to thank everyone who has, continued to listen or has just started, or maybe this is even the first episode you listened to which I apologize for just how crazy we must all sound. But I do thank everyone who has hopefully listened, liked, enjoyed, or whatever with this podcast. It does mean a lot to me. I know this is like a small project or whatever, but yeah, it is nice knowing that people have listened, watched, and hopefully enjoyed, because I think that's really the most important part, that people get something out of it, even if it's not just my opinion, our opinion, or just learning about something new, that something has been, I guess, achieved to some extent. And hopefully we've done that for at least one of these 200 episodes. I guess you guys can be the judge of that. But on that note, I guess I'll end this podcast like I always do by saying I was the Untitled Raccoon.
I am Ace.
I'm the Indigenous Owl.
I'm Ferret.
It might not come across, but that did come off as quite loud on the recording. But
I am Ferret.
no, don't start
Destroyer
screaming.
of worlds.
Sorry.
Don't start screaming, because it's bad enough this episode as long as it is, and I still have to edit this. But yeah. On that note, we will end this. I'll end the podcast on that note. All right. I'll see you for a new set of hopefully another 100 great episodes. All right. Laters, guys.
Auf Wiedersehen.